The Hawaii Sports Radio Network on 95.1 FM and AM 760 presents Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani.
Good morning, beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den in our new studio, streaming live for the first time on YouTube, on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, and hawaiisportsradio.com. Mahalo for tuning in this and every weekday morning from 8 to 10 to us. And don't mind the plain walls. It's so weird because it'll almost be like our other studio, Paul, like how we started off, like when you look back at our YouTube channel and you see like the transition of our studio and like the cooler and cooler it got. So it's almost like that. It's going to be like that in this situation because we got half of the sound panels up on one wall, but the wall in back of me that you guys can see, it's still very plain and blank. So I'm looking forward to
when we're going to start getting
these. So at least Scott got to it like during the weekend, I guess, and because that was new when I first got here.
I know they're super busy. I was just legitimately curious.
So that's kind of exciting because I'm like, all right, now it's starting to feel and look like a radio studio even more so, and then they'll probably go around and in the back here, and then we can start putting up like our flags and everything like that. So for now, it still looks relatively plain. So bear with us, and like I said, it's kind of going to be exciting as we start getting more and more settled in, that you guys will start to see like everything, probably with every YouTube show, it'll start to fill out a little bit. So that's going to be really exciting. But no, mahalo to you guys for tuning in. Paul Brecht, Ku'ule Agbayani, Michael Iscaro will be here in just a little bit. And you know, that traffic, man, coming over from my Pahu. So
yeah, driving on that moped in the rain, Michael always struggles, you know.
Just like Paul does. So got to figure out this.
No,
camera.
Michael's got the small Yoda, right? Isn't that what he keeps
no.
texting us?
Well, that's because I kind of made reference to that with the something last week. the other terms that we were talking about. No, but coming up on the show, we will get to a lot of UH basketball conversation as we will recap the nice win for the Rainbow Wahine for Beeman's Bigger Bash on Saturday. But then also we got to talk about the unfortunate and almost embarrassing loss for the men. What started off, that was brutal to start watching, but did result in a loss. But again, it goes back to what I said about the previous game against UC Davis, where Hawaii needed to win that because it was always going to be hard. And I hate to say impossible because Irvine ended up losing to Riverside. But the chances of winning, you had more chance to win against Davis than you did against Irvine, so you should have came back with a split, and that's why dropping that heartbreaker on Thursday for the men it just proved itself too, because Irvine was always going to be tough, and they wanted to come back from that loss against Riverside, but at least we get a second chance to play them, and then they'll flip around and play at home, but we'll recap that game. But first, all right, so we get another Chiefs-Eagles Super Bowl. Yay!
I'm pumped. I am pumped. What a great day for Jets fans today. Aaron Glenn gets announced as the new head coach. He's going to have his press conference. Actually is on right now.
Ooh.
Darren Muji is also the brand new GM, which happened over the weekend. And then to cap off the weekend, I got to watch the team whose fans just wouldn't stop chirping me all year. Oh, weren't you guys supposed to make the Super Bowl? Weren't you guys? Oh, the Jets were going to be the year. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, we beat you so bad. Hey, guess what? Daddy's still here, I guess. Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs still own the Bills. Oh no, Buffalo, not again. It was their year. Koo.
It's always their year.
And it wasn't their year. I feel legitimately bad for some Buffalo fans who, like I have some in my family who I understand. They were the Jets for a really long time, and then they got a generational quarterback and turned their back on the rest of us in the Losers Club. So you know what? Until you remember your roots and where you came from, I can't feel all that bad for Bills fans. That being said, it felt disgusting rooting for Kansas City yesterday. It's not exactly the People's Choice Super Bowl. I'm pretty sure that would have been Commanders-Bills. But nonetheless, in terms of my Jets side of thing, my Jets fandom, Listen, man, nothing brings me more pleasure than watching division rivals lose. There are 29 teams in the NFL I want to win a Super Bowl before the Bills, Patriots, and Dolphins. And that's just because of the team I root for, guys.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And that's why when all of the NFC North teams went down in their first game of the playoffs, this Bears fan was like, yeah, you guys all had your chance.
No.
And now Ben Johnson is taking over, and they announced the coordinators over the weekend as well, where I'm like, all right, here we go. We're turning the corner now. So you better watch out to the rest of the NFC North and just the NFL in general, because the Bears are back, baby. But first, we got to play out the rest of this year, so we get another rendition of the Chiefs-Eagles Super Bowl. The Chiefs are the 1.5-point favorite right now, odds via BetMGM. No surprise there. It's just hard to even put the Chiefs, although I remember them being the underdog before, so it's kind of weird. But you can just never count the Chiefs out ever. We always talk about the magical formula they have, obviously generational quarterback, but just the credit, and I sing his praises all the time, the credit to Andy Reid, because you see, we talk about Lamar Jackson and you talk about Josh Allen, there are generational quarterbacks on other teams, but why can't they beat Kansas City? But when you look at not only the play calling on the offensive side, but that defense for the Kansas City Chiefs, I mean, it was if you're Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, you just were not sure where the blitz was coming from. It was phenomenal to watch. And unfortunately for Josh Allen, although that final throw was kind of funny, because I'm like, I feel like if that was flipped, then it would have been a roughing the passer call in favor of Patrick Mahomes, that final throw, because it wasn't in terms of everybody watching, wouldn't be roughing the passer. But I'm like, that looks kind of similar to, hey, after the ball gets released, Patrick Mahomes usually gets tapped, and then it's penalty on that final drive. But nonetheless, the Chiefs edging out the Bills 32-29 yesterday in the AFC Championship to punch their ticket to the Super Bowl. The Eagles-Commanders game, not as close as we would have imagined, 55-23 in favor of Philadelphia. However, majority of the points, and it's sucks for the Commanders, because what was that, three touchdowns came off of turnovers for the Commanders.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of they were in it and they were able to put up points, obviously, but it was just, you got to take care of the football. And with these types of big games, you have to limit the opportunity that you give to the other team, and especially an Eagles team with Jalen Hurts and all their tush push things that they do. Speaking of, that was the funniest thing I think in that whole out of two games yesterday, with just Frankie Louvu and all of the fun memes that made its way to social media, where Frankie Louvu just kept jumping over the line of scrimmage to try to prevent that touchdown by Philadelphia for the quarterback sneak. But
Good.
It was just, everyone's like, why not? Obviously, Philadelphia has mastered the quarterback sneak, the tush push or whatever. But then the referee was all right, they've been warned, you do it again, basically, and it could amount to an automatic score, which was interesting, because I feel that's the first time we've ever heard that in an NFL game. Now, the announcers were saying that could happen, but to actually hear that the referee say it and announce it to the crowd, and you're like, wow, this would be really interesting. Imagine, I doubt it's so, out of nowhere that I doubt there's even
I wanted it really badly. I had plus 2 million for ref anytime touchdown.
I was gonna say that's what I was getting to, where it's I'm sure there wasn't any type of
I wasn't
prop
showing
bet
up to
on
work
there.
today if that one hit.
But that would have been an interesting one. Maybe deep within the offshore accounts or offshore markets, you're there is a bet for non-touchdown touchdown awarded to a team but not get into the end zone. I'm this would be so crazy.
The jokes came out after that, where people were breaking, Kansas City has already been awarded a touchdown by the officials, and just all of these things. So it made for plenty of good laughs. I really wanted it to happen just for fun. Also, shout out Frankie Louvu. Once a Jet, always a Jet legend. He was one of those ones that got away. He's actually a really good football player for folks who just haven't gotten a chance to see him. He just, like you said, he was trying to make a play on it. Honestly, though, on something that, like you mentioned, the Eagles have mastered at this point. It was, it's that, or they're going to push right into the end zone. maybe you get lucky one time and you do knock them back 2-3 yards and it changes things for your team. And if you're offside, they move 2 inches closer to the goal line. So it was like, whatever.
The funny thing was, I think it was on the first try, the first Frankie Louvu leap, I guess you can say, where Jalen Hurts, right? Because he's just looking down for the snap. And then I feel like it must have gave him a scare, like just feeling someone come over the top and you're like, oh, what just happened?
Yeah.
Like, it was just kind of funny watching it all play out in slow motion. Everyone's like, okay, whatever. And then when it happened again, it's like, what is going on to that point? But nonetheless, I mean, Jaden Daniels, like, what else can be said? But they are the epitome. So the Washington Commanders, and you can attest to this too, they are the epitome. And why I tell you guys, like, I get so excited with the changing of the helm in Chicago is because it gives me hope that, hey, you have a team like the Washington Commanders where they all of a sudden were like nobody, and then they get changed in ownership. Obviously, there's no change in ownership with the Bills, but when you get a change in coaching and at least you have your quarterback there, that's kind of where my hope lies. Now, do I realistically think that the Bears are going to have this massive of a turnaround year? Yes, I do. So there we go. Yes, I do.
You know what? Yeah, why not? Why not?
Washington Commanders have made it happen.
That right now, that the 2025-26 Bears can't win 12 games and go to the Super Bowl. Nothing. The answer is nothing has shown you that because you haven't seen anything about them other than an inspiring head coaching hire, and you have a good young quarterback. It's fun. That's what the offseason's for, guys. This is for hypotheticals. This is where, like, what is it? Is it Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow who's hypothetical man now, according to NFL fans? Because it's always just imagine if, whatever. It's cool. I'm excited for the Bears. I'm excited for the offseason. I know that's like taboo to say, but like, I don't really care for either of the teams in the Super Bowl because both of them have seen success recently. So this past week was my Super Bowl where I got to see Bills fans get crushed again, like my hopes and dreams for every single football season. And then now it's kind of like, whatever. Like, I guess I have friends who are Eagles fans, so for them, I guess I'll root for the Eagles.
Yeah,
I guess.
Either way, but it's weird, right? Like, the Chiefs don't feel as, I think because they're more, I know I've seen like memes and stuff where it says like people cheering for whatever teams in the Super Bowl, and then you have like the location of the Eagles, and then you have the location of the Chiefs, and then those fans, and then everywhere else, I think it said meteor strike. It's like everyone is kind of like,
no one was sent in my group chat this morning. Yeah,
everyone's kind of disinterested in the Super Bowl. I will obviously still watch because it's still the Super Bowl and still football. We still got to watch it.
I think it's going to be a great game.
And it's I think that's why the Chiefs are so impressive, because it's like a different like set around Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Like, they constantly just continue to be successful, even though the parts keep moving. I mean, how far are we removed now from Tyreek Hill and thinking that trade, like, the Chiefs are never going to win another Super Bowl, or they're going to be, I know, it's so crazy. Like, just what they have like built there in Kansas City. And they also don't, even though they're going for a 3P, and I know it's kind of like everyone's kind of tired of it, right? Like, one team always winning all the time. I feel like because they were almost like the lovable losers for so long, it doesn't feel as like irritating as like the New England Patriots, right? Like, when they were having their dynasty, it's like, I know for you, means even more so.
Are you going to give me a chance to say this? Okay. Between you, me, and all of you beautiful people, this can be our secret, okay? I know I just said I'm rooting for Philadelphia for my friends, and I am. I don't mind Kansas City at all. I really like Andy Reid. I think Philadelphia did Andy Reid pretty dirty. In the last couple of years that he was there, this is your all-time winningest coach. I think that storyline is phenomenal. I think it's a great storyline that the Eagles will have an opportunity where, that he got his one against them. Now it's their turn to get their lick back. It's their turn to, all right, now the page has been turned. We're stopping you. We're still no 3P in NFL history. You have that looming over it. I mean, people in Hawaii know how big the 3P conversation is, right? When it comes to high school football. Think about those type of things, the dynasties, how much those mean to your particular town, your city, your state, whatever it may be. Like, this is a really big moment for Kansas City because of what you mentioned. Kansas City stunk.
Yeah.
They were the Jets. They were the Bears. They were whoever you want to pick. Take your pick for, forever, because they won an early couple of Super Bowls and whatever. And, great. So did the Jets. They, won it back in the dinosaur ages and whatnot. And then since then it was, well, sometimes they have a nice year, but then it's pretty much the Chiefs are probably going to finish at the bottom of the division.
Yeah.
They're probably going to be, their ceiling's 8-8. That's not it anymore. That's cool for them. And then on the other side, by the way, I want to remind people, the New England Patriots had not one, but multiple cheating scandals during their time at the top. Right? Not one, not like, oh man,
I know.
We made a mistake.
Deflategate.
Whatever. It's like, you can look down the line and all you see is continuous cheating. I don't
also players getting in trouble.
Right. I'm not sitting here like, oh, the Chiefs, you should root for the Chiefs. But I've seen so many people be like, can we all agree that this Chiefs dynasty is more annoying than the Patriots? No. As someone who lived through it and watched the Patriots kick my team's butt every single year, no, we cannot, because that is not true. That is not the case. Tom Brady had a rule changed immediately because we had the tuck rule because of Brady. Yeah. Like, what are we talking about here? Josh Allen got a rule changed because of him. Like, if we're going to complain about things, I don't know. I find it so ridiculous. People just want to hate, which is totally fine. That is their prerogative. Yeah. That is their right. People know that we like our, in our jest hater hats, we like to toss that in there too.
I also think it helps, especially for us, is that the Chiefs aren't like in our division.
It's not my division.
So I'm sure Las Vegas Raiders fans listening, that we have a lot of them in Hawaii, are like, no, that's the worst thing ever to see that.
And that's
you get
totally fair. That's the same reason why I just was rooting against the Bills.
It's like,
I totally get it. That is their prerogative.
So hopefully, I think it's interesting. Obviously, we have a couple of, I guess you can say, resident Eagles fans on our team in Zorned and Darnell Arsenal. So it's, 2.0. We just had this a few years ago. To remind everyone, the Chiefs beat the Eagles a couple years ago, 38-35. So still a relatively close game, and hoping that we will get that same as well. All right, going to step aside. When we come back, we will get into our women's basketball conversation and let you hear some post-game audio from head coach Laura Beeman and a couple of players when we come back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ule Agbayani and Paul Brecht. I don't know where Michael Esquerel is. He might just like make a grand entrance eventually.
Let's
and then
say.
Oh shucks, the door is not on camera, so that would have been
No?
fun if he busted in here like Kool-Aid and be like, "I'm here."
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. But no, he is making his way here. Anyways, just got a few minutes. We will let you guys hear post game from Coach Beeman along with Lily Wahinekapu and Ritoria Tamilo. But for now, we will kind of recap our thoughts on Beeman's bigger bash, in which we saw those sweet jerseys, these Surf City jerseys that were worn. I mean, take a look at that. I know you guys have seen it on TV, but it was really, really cool. Designed by Isaac Daggert from Colorado Springs. And it just has like that really vintage design. It's kind of funny. Unpopular opinion. I understand. So don't yell at me, folks. I understand the color scheme and why it is the way it is. But when you don't have the best eyes like I do, and like you have slight astigmatism, the color, that cream color, does not bode well when you're watching basketball because the court is the same color. So I was just kind of like, I don't know. I like the white or the green because it stands out.
That's
but
fair.
Again, it's just my eyes. But the jersey itself,
It's just her
it's
auntie
gorgeous.
preference.
It's just
It's
my
all-
auntie-ness, like having bad eyes like I do. You're like, what? But no,
I
it looked
totally
really
forgot
nice.
They weren't white until I got in
They
person. I was like,
Yeah, there's like blending
like,
into
no,
the
wait a
court.
second.
Yeah, like what is going on? They are available for auction
They're
until
sick.
today at 5:00. So you guys can go to hawaiiathletics.com /bigger bash Beeman, I think. I'll go look it up. I was like,
We'll
I
make
know
sure
it's
that
an
you get
easier one to look at. But no, it looked really, really sweet. Shout out to Casey Smurthwaite, former consultant, I guess, to former University of Hawaii Athletics Director Craig Angeles. That was kind of his brainchild in terms of the getting everything done, like the concept of, hey, let's be the first school ever to have a fan design jersey contest. Like literally, Hawaii is the first. And I thought that was so cool that they did it for women's basketball because they could have easily done it for men's basketball, right? Like usually schools will promote their men's team and all that stuff, raise money.
yeah,
but it
we've
was like,
seen it.
hey,
I mean, we saw it last year, right?
Yeah.
They had their cool little uniforms. The men did.
yeah, but not a fan designed one, right?
Right.
That was like what leveled this up. Obviously, they're going to be up for auction. Someone outbid me for the one I'm trying to bid for. I'm still trying to decide if I'm going to spend over $300 for it. But that's kind of a lot. But it does go to a good cause. So the money, the net proceeds go to the women's basketball program. So all of that stuff, thinking outside of the box to bring attention to the women's basketball program and, say it with me, folks, non-traditional ways to raise revenue. Again, that is I wanted to make sure we gave credit to Casey Smurthwaite because, yeah, it not only was it's going to raise money and all of that stuff, but it reached the national level. Like if you guys saw it, it reached ESPNW. I first saw it from Front Office Sports, which is like a national brand that covers more of the sports business side. And then it was on ESPNW on like their social media and people commenting. And it's just, that's cool for the University of Hawaii because it's what my whole thing has been, right? Like Hawaii is awesome. Like there's no other state that would be able to make a cool design, a vintage design like Hawaii was able to. And again, shout out to Isaac. But like that's the kind of stuff that we need to, and by we, I mean the athletics department needs to continue to come up with and be creative about because Hawaii is awesome. Hawaii is unique. Like the state of Hawaii itself, right? There's so many cool things to promote about Hawaii. And with the University of Hawaii at Manoa being the only Division I program in the state, like that's where like I kept just saying it last week or the last few weeks, like Hawaii is awesome. We got to stop thinking like using excuses to be like, oh, well, we don't get support from the
There's
legislature.
this,
We don't
there's
have,
that.
there's all of the no stadium, which I get it. They're all valid things. But then it's like, we can't just wallow in like all these excuses. It's like, all right, well, how do we think of other cool things to bring attention to Hawaii, to bring attention to Coach Beeman and the success that she has had? Like, that is awesome. So I wanted to make sure we kind of emphasize like how cool it was. Obviously, the ladies took care of business and they
Of
won
course.
on the court, beating UC Irivine, the top team at the time in the conference, 46-42. And in the first rematch of defending champs, again, shout out to Paul for pointing that out, reminding us last week, where it's like you have the tournament champs, who is UC Irvine, but then you have the regular season champs, which we argue for on behalf of the Rainbow Wahine. That's harder to win, right? You got to go through the full double slate of conference games in order to come out on top of the regular season. Where the tournament, you just have like a few good games, and there you go, you're the tournament champions. Now, obviously, when the Rainbow Wahine win the tournament championship too, we're going to obviously praise them for that accomplishment as well.
Listen, guys, it's just for my narrative. Let me get it off, all right?
Exactly. But they showed up and were far from breaking the record. You know, the record was, we were saying 6,200. The turnstile was just under 3,000. But you know what? It sounded like it was 6,000. So you guys that all showed up and were loud, like, I commend you guys, because it was fun. The atmosphere, I hope people realize, like, the more people that are in the crowd, the more fun it is to come there. And this team they're winners. So, like, hope you guys continue to come out. If that was your first game this season, you got to keep coming back, because it's just fun it creates the fun atmosphere when you guys are there. And again, the ladies, they took care of business and they will keep taking care of business. Now it's our job to show up for them, but what a phenomenal game. And it's just a great night for Coach Beeman and for Beeman's bigger bash. And the bobblehead thing was cool too. So all around, like, shout out to everyone at the University of Hawaii at Manoa, and of course the team that we saw, like, be able to do their thing. It was close. It was close. Yeah, it was a little
stressful.
Very stressful.
But no, you're spot on in terms of, one, shout out to Casey Smurthwaite, because kind of he did mention this. This has been an idea of his since pre-COVID.
That's right.
And not even was going to do it with Hawaii. And obviously things happen, you go through and whatnot, and you bring this idea here. And kudos to the people who also greenlit the idea, right? Where it's like, since this wasn't a new idea from Casey, this is something he's been kind of pushing for a while. Like, plenty of people have said no. I mean, he kind of made reference to it in his tweet, where it's like those who called the idea stupid or crazy or whatever. And it was awesome. I mean, in every way, shape, and form. I had friends from the East Coast, friends who now live overseas, texting me about the Rainbow Wahine, texting me about the uniform, texting me, how can we get this? Can we bid on this? Etc. Like, these type of things where the conversation goes outside of our little islands here. It goes outside of just the West Coast. It goes cross country, it goes globally, and that's what these young women deserve, because like you mentioned, they're a winning program, a program who is filled with a bunch of real tough winners. I mean, like, I can't express this enough, how difficult that game was at times, where you're seeing these young women beat the daylights out of each other at times, right? Where it's physical, gritty, the ball on the floor, people are diving, and points are hard to come by. And then in the fourth quarter, when it becomes winning time, guess what happens? The Rainbow Wahine step up their game, go to another level, and show off that championship pedigree that they have. And part of the reason they were able to do that was because of those about 3,000 people who were in the building, screaming, cheering, sounding like they were 6,000, 7,000, whatever it may be. It was deafening at times. I got the notification on my Apple Watch that it got too loud in there and that I needed to take cover for my ears, right? That's what you need for every game, and that's what these guys deserve for every single game that they have. And I chatted with Eric Matthews after the night, and he was a little, I don't want to say disappointed or whatever, but, you knew, we talked to him here. He really wanted that record.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think that they're going to continue to push for in future years. So it won't be your last chance.
I honestly think, I'm going to put this out there for all the fans. I think they should, just because it's not Beeman's Bigger Bash, there's still a lot of home games. I mean, I just think we should push at the very end, if anything, push to break the record for senior night, right? Because
senior night, they really should break it.
have a couple of local girls, especially, that are going to be honored in Lily Wahine Kapu and Kelsey Imai, and then not to mention Meilani McBee, not local, but she's played the most games, right?
Think about how many games she's played, how many memories she's made, how many lives she's touched here in Hawaii. That is a perfect night to potentially break the record this
6,200,
season still.
everybody.
But at the end of the day, I was chatting with Eric Matthews, and I wanted to kind of reinforce, like, listen, man, you can't force people to show up, right? I can't go out there and I can't make 6,200 people show up physically for the game. But what you can do, and I'm saying this to Eric Matthews, like, what you can do is make it a really good experience for the people who do show up, for the 3,000 people who are there, for the young women who are competing that night, for the keiki who are there screaming their head off, right? You can make it fun for them. You can make memories for them. And I thought that they did a really nice job of that this past Saturday. I thought that was phenomenal, where if you were there, I thought you had a great time. Anyone I talked to had a really fun time. Now, of course, it helps when they win, but also at the same time, it felt like they spiced it up a little bit with the games that they normally do, right? Where you always have the box, but they changed up the timing of the box, right? And it's all of those things that go into it, the little things that you'd never consider about a game day experience that are so big for fans. So I wanted to, really emphasize that to him, where it's like, hey, you worked hard. I know you worked hard. I can see from the outside you worked hard. And I hope you beautiful people really did enjoy if you ended up making it out. And if you didn't, I hope you make it out towards the end of the season, because like Koo said, like I'm going to continue to say, and like we will say for the next few weeks, these young women deserve your support. They deserve for you to be there. Keiki are free, I think, right, for tickets sometimes?
Yeah, Keiki are always free. Tickets are like $8. So here you go,
Show
you
up.
guys. Saturday, March 8th against CSUN. Put it in your calendar right now. Saturday, March 8th is Show 'em Your Aloha Senior Night, and let's push to break the record that day, right? Like, send these seniors off on the high note. These seniors that are, a lot of them are fifth-year seniors, and a couple of local girls, like I said. So Saturday, March 8th, want you guys to come out for senior night for the Rainbow Wahine basketball team, and that day, let's shoot to break that record of getting at least 6,200 of you through the turnstile for the Rainbow Wahine basketball squad, because that would be the coolest thing ever, to send off these seniors, is to break the record, and for a couple of local girls to be on the team that breaks the record, where we can look back. All right. And oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I was just thinking of those two. Hallie Birdsong. I'm surprised Paul didn't correct me there. I was like, oh, Hallie Birdsong.
I was reading Caesar's comments in the chat. I apologize, but yes, of course, our
girl
favorite
Hallie.
Hallie, who you can go read the feature piece on that we wrote. And
I was like seeing the
last
names.
year.
I'm like, I feel like I'm missing someone, and then it just hit me. I was like,
they
Hallie
have
Birdsong.
like 306 seniors on the team this year. So I mean, what are you gonna do? We just have so many. We are so blessed to have so many great people and players to celebrate. Come celebrate with us.
All right, we got to step aside. When we come back, as I thought we were only going to chat for like 5 minutes about that, and we did what we always do when we talk about basketball, and we kept yapping. But when we come back, we will let enough yapping from us, and we will let you guys hear from what head coach Laura Beeman, Lily Wahine Kapu, and Ritoria Tamilo, what they had to say following Saturday night's win on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to all of you, the beautifulest of all the beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den alongside Paul Brecht. I'm Ku'ulei Agbayani. Mahalo for tuning in this and every weekday morning on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, and hawaiisportsradio.com, and streaming live every Monday like we are right now on our YouTube channel. And you know what? I haven't gotten the slow Wi-Fi notifications anymore. So again, shout out to our guy Jonathan from Spectrum that, hey, our Wi-Fi is even better. And this is awesome. Like, moving in so far. We're apprehensive at first. Obviously, change is crazy, but so far so good with everything that we've been. Yeah, I'm like, all right, it's kind of working out pretty good so far. So we are loving it. All right. So we were talking a lot about women's basketball following their win over UC Irivine on Saturday, 46-42. Lili Wahine Kapu led the offense with 13 points, followed by Victoria Tamilo with 11 points and 3 blocks. Some pretty beautiful blocks at that by Victoria.
Stuff in here.
Get that out. It's including at the it was awesome. But anyways, enough talking from us. We want to let you guys hear from what they had to say after the game. So here is Coach Beeman along with Lili Wahine Kapu and Victoria Tamilo.
Gritty performance, just absolutely gritty performance by this team. The last 24 hours, we didn't even know who we were going to be able to suit up with, how many kids we have had sick. We had 2 kids that didn't practice yesterday. We're a game time decision tonight. We had 1 player show up not feeling well, but got on the court and went, and then we had another one get sick at halftime. So for this team to have the grit that they did, figure things out after that first half, and do what they did, particularly in that fourth quarter, I think that we probably gained a lot of fans tonight with how we played and how we responded. Could not be more proud of them. I mean, obviously, literally these two, and then just Amani's presence being our glue, and Meilani being on the floor, understanding rotations. Jovi gave us great minutes as a bigger guard. Kelsey coming in for offense and defense with Lily. And Mia was really good tonight. Mia was solid tonight with her ball pressure. She was mad at herself for giving up that 3, but she'll figure that one out. That won't happen again. Can't give enough credit to Victoria. I mean, the block, again, if you remember Thursday night, BK ended the game with a great block. Tonight, she ends the game, great block. Her rebounds were spectacular tonight. It was absolutely a team effort defensively, and you can look into a team's eyes at timeouts and know if they're scared, know if they're confident, or know if they're going to win. These guys, I knew they were going to win. I was not even concerned in that fourth quarter. I mean, you get hyped up, but I had no doubt we were going to win that ball game with just the look in their eyes.
Lily, can you talk a little bit about your confidence at the end of the game there? You stepped to the line with an opportunity to really give you guys the breathing room or at least the cushion that you need. And earlier this season, obviously, the way the conference play started, had a similar opportunity to step up tonight. What did that mean to you?
Yeah, I think I've been in that situation a lot of times, and sometimes it doesn't go my way, and sometimes it does, but I think my coaches and my teammates put a lot of trust in me, and they have a lot of faith in me, so that helps me a lot.
And Victoria, how much confidence do you have when Lily goes to the line, knowing just how many big plays she's made for you guys this year?
Oh yeah, she's done that a lot of times. So we have faith in her, we have confidence in her, and she's always working hard in trainings on her free throws, and so we trust her.
The leak out steal was huge.
Coach, I know earlier in the week you talked about this crowd today trying to be a 6th man for you, and how do you think the crowd did in that regard?
They were unbelievable. The energy, the defense, the bows, they gave us the extra juice that we needed. Any of these kids that weren't feeling well, they were able to catch that energy, and I think that definitely pushed us over the edge tonight. It was an incredible environment.
7 in a row now. You guys are a 3-way tie for first at almost the midpoint of the regular season with Irvine, and Long Beach, I think, fell off one game tonight. So after that 0-2 start, I mean, how do you feel about where you guys are at?
Yeah, we're just going to keep believing in our process and keep moving forward. We have a very, very big game on Thursday against San Diego. They're playing really well, and they pose some problems defensively and what they do offensively, but they have to guard us. And they're going to have to score against our defense, and we obviously know what our defense can do. As far as being in a three-way tie, it's great, but I want to be in first place come March. That's the goal. So we're just going to keep chipping away, keep our eye on the prize, which is March, to get into the tournament, win the tournament, and keep moving. But great to be sitting here tonight. Great crowd, but it's not where we're going to finish.
Lily, kind of tell us about what you saw in the crowd and how you guys was able to build off that energy, especially like in the fourth one. Things were kind of going up and down.
Yeah, it was so awesome to be in that atmosphere. It reminded me of Baton Rouge when we went to LSU and played. It was like really loud out there. It was hard for us to get the play calls because it was that loud. But shout out to the fans, like they're amazing. Love you guys, and thank you for my family. Like my whole family showed up from all over the island and outer island too.
Ratoria, can you talk a little bit about your growth over this season so far? Obviously, coming over, it's your first year in playing college ball, but you're no stranger to high-level basketball. But we've kind of seen you become stronger on the glass. We've seen you extend the range out with the jump shot. How important has growing your game during the season here during your first year of college ball been for you?
Yeah, I think it's special. I mean, I just want to continue to work on my confidence, and so, that's where the mid-ranges and the other things are coming in. So I think as long as I just keep my head up and just keep working hard, then I'll just keep moving in that direction.
For the players, thoughts on the custom jersey that you guys got to wear tonight?
Yeah, it's
Sweet.
awesome. Yeah, and we were like the first team to. Yeah.
It is the first fan-designed jersey that was worn ever. So to be the first team and the guy who designed it, just absolutely fabulous. The auction numbers were great, but it was a really cool look for sure.
Hey, Coach, tell us a little bit more about that. I mean, it was a big article on ESPN Women's, even on Instagram and X, and yeah, the attention was on Hawai'i today, especially on ESPN. Just talk about just what you feel that does for just not only just for the program, but even for the future.
Well, these guys work really hard, and for them to have attention at this level and on the national level, I think is so well deserved. We are out here, in the middle of nowhere, right? And we know what we do. We know how hard we work. So to have attention drawn to this group of young women, what they do, how hard they play, how well they represent, I think it's awesome. And I hope that we continue to, get into the national conversation. I think we're a team that's good enough to continue to do that.
Coach, could you just talk a little bit about the decision to go with Mia? Obviously, you guys are a super deep team. You talked a little bit about some illnesses going into tonight, but her second start of the year, the first one since obviously playing against her former team, just the thought process going with her.
We needed a secondary ball handler on the floor tonight. That's really where the decision came down. And, we wanted kind of the Lily-Mia combination, and if we went Kelsey and Jovi, we would have that combination. If we wanted to go Jovi and Lily, we could. But we wanted to start the game out feeling very confident about the pressure, being able to have, either Lily on the ball or off the ball. We took Lily off the ball later in the game. I thought that was a good decision to put her where she could catch and shoot in some of our zone sets. But Mia had a lot of poise tonight, a lot of confidence tonight. I thought defensively she was really good. But when you have four legitimate guards, point guards or off guards, it really helps your rotation. So that's really what it came down to.
And that was the post-game audio for the University of Hawaii women's basketball team with head coach Laura Beeman, along with players Lily Wahine Kapu and Ratoria Tamilo, after Hawaii beat the then Big West Conference leader in UC Irivine 46-42. All right, got to step aside. We'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ulei Agbayani, Paul Brecht, and Michael Liscaro making his way. Woo! Hello, Michael. Say hi to the beautiful people.
As Ku'ulei said, we are trying to fill out this office, and that's why I'm here. I mean, this studio. Sorry. It does kind of look like an office, but it is a studio. It'll look like one eventually.
Yeah. Again, we look back to some of our old videos of the other studio, in which even before we got like this cool video system and had to work a bit harder to try to bring you some YouTube content. But now it's a little bit more manageable and we can go live to talk to all of you guys and to see all of you guys as well. But yeah, it'll start to make its way and eventually look like a radio studio. Want to get into, as we close out this first hour, coming up in hour number 2, we'll get back to more NFL talk. Also get our thoughts on the men's basketball game against UC Irivine, get you some football news and all of that stuff. But to close out the first hour, I want to get you guys caught up with some OIA, I guess, updates that happened over the weekend, especially for soccer. We haven't talked soccer in a while, but when we look at the OIA boys soccer championships that happened over the weekend, Mililani, came out on top over Campbell in overtime 2-1. And then in Division 1 and in Division 2, Kahuku. Now, this was a tough soccer stint, in the OIA for Waipahu, for Michael's alma mater. So Kahuku beating Waipahu in Division 2, a 2-1 to win the OIA D2 boys soccer title. And if we go back to last week in the OIA girls portion, Mililani beat Waipahu in Division 1 3-0 to claim the crown. And then in Division 2, Kailua beating Waialua 1-0. So as I mentioned, tough one for Michael's alma mater when it comes to the soccer world.
I mean, guys, what do you expect? Yeah. Well, Kahuku, they can compete. They just have always been stuck in Division 1 for how many years? But I guess, changes in the administration or change of thinking, they are in Division 2 and they're competing, because once you're in Division 2, hey, we're going to get some of the football boys, it won't be physical, and at that some point it's kind of hard. For the boys soccer, I mean, Waipahu, you guys were in the Division 2's OI championship for 2 years now, and you guys have one of the bigger student body populations. They should never be in Division 2, so it's kind of whatever. And for on the Division 1 level, Mililani boys and girls, they just breed them. They come out of the womb playing soccer at Mililani, so it's what can you expect?
Yeah, but the tall task ahead now as the girls tournament gets started this week for the state tournament. So I want to give you guys the updates on the brackets. Let's start off first with Division 1 here. And when you look at the seeding, Kamehameha Schools Kapalama gets the number 1 overall seed in Division 1. With the 2 seed is the OIA champs in Mililani. The 3 seed is Kamehameha Schools Maui. And the 4th seed is Waiakea. You're going to say something, Paul? Sorry.
No, I'm looking at some microphone things.
Oh,
sorry.
Okay.
Apologies.
I'm I had to look over. Is the sound on? Yeah.
You know
so
me, big
the
soccer guy.
First round gets started today, and the first match will be between Baldwin and Campbell. That winner would play Kamehameha Schools Kapalama. And then you got Waipahu against Kapolei. That winner would go on to play Waiakea. And Hilo and Moanalua on the other side of the bracket. That winner goes on to play Mililani. And then Punahou and Kaiser, winner goes on to play Kamehameha Schools Maui. All right, we look at the Division 2 bracket now, getting your number or your seeded into the quarterfinals with the first round bye. You have number 1 seed Kamehameha Schools Hawai'i, number 2 seed Kauai, 3 seed Mid-Pac, and 4 seed Seabury Hall. And the first round gets started on Wednesday for HHSA Division 2 soccer action. Pac-5 and Roosevelt will go at it, and that winner will go to play on Kamehameha Schools Hawai'i. It'll be Kailua versus Waimea. Winner goes on to play Seabury Hall. And then on the other side of the bracket, you got Waialua and Aiea. That winner going on to take on Kauai. And then last but of course not least, Hawaii Prep against Radford. Winner goes on to play Mid-Pac. So those are just your updates now, and you guys can see it on our YouTube channel for the girls. The Motivate Foundation Girls Soccer State Championships happening this week. So yeah, there you go, everybody. It's like, well, there's so much stuff happening all over the town, and it just brings back my old auntie days.
Yes.
I'm very far removed now from my state tournament experience when it comes to soccer.
Yeah, there's a lot going on this week. There's high school soccer. HPU and Chaminade baseball kicks off this weekend as well.
Hey.
So there's just a lot, and I wish for all of you people that follow us, we're still trying to hopefully get bigger so we can be everywhere. For the most part, it seems like we're everywhere. It's because we're degenerates that have no life. But at some point, we will have a life, with family and kids. So. Whoa.
Whoa. I'm like, whoa, we're getting ahead of ourselves here. Although my clock is ticking. I mean, you boys have a lot of time left still. But
our time is unlimited.
The clock's ticking for all of us. What can we say? No, I'm really excited for. I love the playoff times in high school sports just in general because kind of what you mentioned before, it brings back memories where. You think about the times that you compete. You think about the times that you spent with your friends. You spent, learning kind of lessons you took further on in life. It's cool to watch another generation go through them, and also another really talented generation. Like we've been very blessed in Hawaii to watch a lot of really good players. I'm excited to watch some more. I'm also excited for the basketball playoffs. I'm excited. Like there's just a lot of good going on right now in Hawaii sports, like especially high school sports. I'm excited for what's to come this week.
which I was. Were you gonna say something? I was gonna.
Thursday is gonna be a pretty jam-packed day for high school girls soccer. All the quarterfinals, D1 and D2, so that's 4 on the D1 side and 4 on the D2 side. They will be all played at the outer fields at the Waipio Peninsula Soccer Complex. So you have 8 matches going on at a time, and if you have an e-bike, that's the place to be, or if someone can drive you on like a golf cart or something, because there will be matches going on, and they're all high quality matches, and that's the thing I also want to point out as we wrap up is that there's a lot more parity in girls soccer than in this boys soccer because there's more spread out talent. Like, sure, the Final Four will probably comprise of Punahou, Kamehameha, Mililani, but the teams that they're going to play are going to push them in those matches. So go support them if you can.
Yeah, also going on this week is OIA girls basketball playoffs that we are covering for all of you. So Wednesday will be the D1 and D2 championship doubleheader that you guys can hear on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network. And if you guys have a Spectrum and you want to watch, it'll be on Spectrum Sports. Today, though, is the semifinals for Division 1, and it'll be between Kahuku and Campbell, and then Moanalua and Mililani. The final for Division 2 is already set after Castle beat Waianae 37-23 and Kapolei beat Kaiser 46-20. So it'll be Castle and Kapolei for the Division 2 girls basketball crown. All right, we're going to take our top of the hour break. When we come back, we will get back into more NFL conversation. And yes, Caesar, we see all of your comments that have come through so far. So we'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den, hour number 2. I'm Ku'ulei Agbayani alongside Paul Brecht and Michael Lescaro. Happy Aloha Monday. Mahalo for tuning in and also watching on our YouTube channel as we do this and every Monday. Be sure to like and subscribe, you guys. We appreciate you, and we're bumping up those subscribers. And a lot of that credit to Michael Lescaro here for the volleyball propaganda that we got going on our YouTube channel for men's volleyball. That's where we saw the spike. So shout out to all of you men's volleyball fans out there.
I was impressed with the women's basketball views for under short 4-minute video. So maybe that's part of the volleyball subscribers, but I was actually half debating if I should make one because I wouldn't have enough to make like a 10-minute one. And I mean, usually when you get a 10-minute video, you can get ads on your video, even though we need to get 1,000 subscribers before we can start profiting off of our YouTube fame. So, but yeah, I was impressed. So shout out to you guys.
I know, I love
crazy.
Hey, shout out though. But again, make sure you guys like and subscribe.
Chats.
Yeah, Caesar's ready to be the super chat person all the way up here, which we'll get to in just a second. All the moves being made in the NFL with just about all except the New Orleans Saints job being filled for in the NFL and the coaching vacancies there. Also, Caesar said if we get Kalani Sitake as an in-person studio guest, I'd love y'all forever and buy y'all Zippies and In-N-Out burger forever. No In-N-Out for me, but Zippies. I can do Zippies.
Is there In-N-Out on Maui already? I don't think there is. Is there?
No, maybe he'll I don't know. We'll see. But Zippies for sure. But this is because he was saying about Micah Alihado. So, funny story for everybody. Yes, Micah Alihado, we are going to have an interview with him. It's kind of funny because it was somewhat of a surprise to me in terms of when it is, and it is today. I found out like midway through the first hour that, hey, I got a text message like, hey, Micah's going to come in to the studio today after his workouts and stuff this morning. So I'm like, oh, okay, great. Yay. I mean, you're not going to turn down getting the interview with Michael Alihado, but it was just Paul and I were like, oh, okay.
Oh, that changes
so
things
that's
a
what's
little
happening
bit.
today. So yes, sometime this week, you guys will be able to hear our chat with Micah Alihado. And if you have any questions, and you guys are listening live right now, actually, too, if you're, don't text and drive, but if you come to a stop, we're supposed to chat with him at around 10:30 today. So if you guys do have any questions for Micah, text us at 808-888-KGU1. That's 808-888-5481, and we will try, if it fits within our question asking, we will try to get some of those fan questions to him. Again, that is before 10:30 this morning, though, as that is the scheduled time that I was told. It's like luckily it'll all work out. So again, Michael Alihado, you guys will hear it sometime this week. We will get a chat with him. So be sure, again, to text us if you guys have any questions that you want us to ask. We're going to try to effort multiple interviews throughout the year, hopefully, that we will get with Micah. But today apparently is the first one, which we are super excited about. But it was just funny because it was a complete surprise. I knew it was going to happen this week, but like the day of it was funny. So text us, again, if you guys have any questions you want us to ask Micah. That was kind of the non-breaking news. We will follow us on social media to know when exactly we will air that for all of you, because it probably won't be tomorrow. Might have to let the beautiful people wait a little bit, and maybe when you guys are at like Sharks Weekly, then it'll be Thursday show that I'll have everyone.
Probably be a good idea.
Yeah, Thursday
during that 8 o'clock hour. It's important to tune in during the 8 o'clock hour. We normally go over a lot of really important stuff during the first of the 2 hours, though we love our second hour listeners as well. Got a lot of pretty good nuggets in hour number 1. Perhaps the Micah Alihado interview is going to be one of them,
So Thursday. We'll shoot for that. Will be Thursday. All right. Want to get into more of our back to our NFL conversation. As we mentioned, we get Eagles Chiefs once again, just a couple of years after their first meeting, or I guess not their first meeting, most recent meeting in the Super Bowl after the Eagles beat the Commanders 55-23, and the Chiefs just escaped the Bills 32-29. And as we said earlier, the Eagles are the underdog. No surprise there, because at this point, if you're the odds makers, you're not going to make the Chiefs a favorite anytime. Like, you just can't bet against them. So the Chiefs are the 1.5 point favorite. The Eagles plus 110 on the money line, with the Chiefs at minus 130. The total set at 49.5 for now. Again, a couple more weeks until the actual big game day. As it stands right now this morning, again, odds via BetMGM. The Super Bowl MVP, no surprise, Patrick Mahomes has the shortest. Patrick Mahomes has the shortest odds with plus 105. Saquon Barkley at plus 240, followed by Jalen Hurts at plus 375. And then you got a significant drop off to Taylor Swift's boyfriend at 15-1. Xavier Worthy up here at 30-1. But I think pretty much anyone would assume that the shortest odds are what they are with Mahomes. Saquon Barkley, just the type of game he's been having. I saw the funniest thing where it's like they made the comparison. It was like a video of like a baby duck, I think it was, and on social media where they were like, oh, this is the Commanders, having like taking up like 20 plays, yada, yada, yada. And then it was like the Eagles give it to Saquon Barkley, and then the duck goes like just runs
I saw
over.
it was from the Olympics, the shooting, the rifle shooting, is that what it was or whatever? The Turkish guy with his hand in his five is like just the average Joe or whatever.
Yeah.
That was the Eagles, and then it was like one of the very like high-techy competitors from before, and it was like the exact same meme format, but it was like the super high-techy where the Commanders 20 plays, for a field goal, and then one play touchdown from Saquon
Barkley, and you're like, all right, well, there you go.
What are you supposed to do?
Saquon is a player that was not in that loss to the Super Bowl to the Chiefs a couple of years ago. So
you guys think Jason Kelce, like, I'm curious about this, right? I wonder how much he's like, oh, I really want Travis to get his third. Like, that's family, no brother, three-peat and whatnot. But he's got a lot of friends still in that Eagles organization. He spent a long time there. He is like Eagle through and through. I'm curious how his mind is going into this week. Like, if this is really fun for him, or if he's like really torn apart in the middle. You know what I mean?
I will remind everyone, and the internet is reminding people, that Taylor Swift is actually an original Philadelphia Eagles fan. So I'm like, that's another thing. But early predictions, gentlemen. What say you guys?
Michael, you go first. I got to think about it.
Well, going back to the Jason Kelce, I think Jason Kelce is happy no matter what, because he can celebrate with whoever wins, right? He wins either way, kind of like Mama Kelce did 2 years ago. But I do think if you are a betting person, not saying we are, I am. I think Travis Kelce is gonna win Super Bowl MVP, and the reason why I say that is because he's been the focal point for a lot of defenses in the playoffs. Like yesterday, only had 2 catches for 19 yards. He's being hold limited, but I'm expecting him to go out there and have a really solid, phenomenal game, and right off into the sunset and marry Taylor Swift. And so I believe Travis Kelce will be the MVP. I think it's gonna be a low scoring affair. Definitely more low scoring than the Super Bowl 2 years ago when it was 35-38. That was just bonkers. You normally don't see that in a Super Bowl, especially with 2 weeks to prepare. But, I just got to say that these two teams, they're kind of not cheating, but they're kind of resetting how we looked at how to build championship teams, right? And the reason why I say not cheating, but kind of wink there, is because with Saquon, the Eagles are benefiting from the NFL and teams lowering the running back market. Like there's not 30 receivers that are better than Saquon, but there's 30 receivers that are making more money than Saquon. Now you look at the Chiefs side, they are cheating in the sense that there is no way that they should have Steve Spagnuolo for 5 Super Bowl.
Need to take one for the team and just hire him for the head coach job.
I mean, shout out to him. He was a St. Louis Rams fan, St. Louis Rams coach. I'm a fan of the Rams, but a guy with that pedigree, this is gonna if he wins this Super Bowl, this is gonna be the 5th Super Bowl that he was a DC of a Super Bowl team. And that goes back to the New York Giants that beat the undefeated Patriots. So that's kind of you got to get lucky to win, and these guys are lucky to have a coordinator that doesn't want to be a head coach, and your running back that is making pennies compared to some other receivers that don't do anything.
That's a good point, bringing up the defensive coordinator, obviously, on the Kansas City Chiefs side. And you guys know, I probably sound like a broken record to everybody, but on the Eagles side, Vic Fangio, this is his first season with the Philadelphia Eagles. And I always bring him up because that was the last time I remember the Bears defense being like what we know the Bears defense to be before Vic Fangio got hired to be the head coach in Denver, which didn't work out too great for him in the couple of years he was there. Was a consultant with the Eagles, then went over to Miami to be the DC, and then now is with Philadelphia. So the more we kind of think about that, I'm leaning towards you as someone who's cheering for either team. I guess I always want to see points put up, but it wouldn't surprise me having like really good defensive minds on both teams going at it. And again, just a different, especially for the Eagles. I mean, not having Saquon and Vic Fangio there on the defensive side, if that was part of that loss that they suffered to the Chiefs. So hence why the odds makers have it really, really close there. Again, the Eagles, the 1.5 point underdog, plus 110 on the money line, and 49.5 set at the total. So we're thinking under that 49.5 too, huh? And interesting with I wonder if our Vegas friend is listening, because I know they like to kind of sprinkle all over the place. So maybe they're going to live dangerously too and put a little sprinkle on Travis Kelce 15-1 to be the Super Bowl MVP, which would be interesting. And, you know, it's something I like to see, because seeing the fans get so miserable by pop star woman is just hilarious to me. So that's who I'm cheering for. Taylor Swift to win another Super Bowl. I am wearing my T Swift shirt today, so there you go.
Boom, there you go. I mean, this is really hard, because I really do believe the Eagles might be the most well-rounded team in the league. Just from top to bottom, they scare me. Right? I mean, Saquon Barkley should be in the MVP conversation, perhaps should be in the top 2 for MVP this year for the impact that he has made this season for Philadelphia. You talk about Jalen Hurts. You're curious about his injury status. I know he's been kind of playing injured recently. Is that something that's going to impact him, or is that something that's going to be even better now? Like, he's going to have these 2 weeks to kind of heal. I have to look more into how Kansas City's been tackling recently. Just for the matter of Saquon, we've seen the yards after contact for Saquon is ridiculous. He spins off 1 defender, 2 defenders, 3 defenders, and he's gone. And we've seen that multiple times throughout this postseason, multiple times throughout this season. It's really hard to bet against that, especially when you have to worry about A.J. Brown. You have Devontae Smith, both of them on the outside. The defense has been great. For whatever reason, the entire NFL just decided, what if we gave Philadelphia the really good Georgia Bulldogs defensive line? What if we just gave them all the best players from that team? I don't know why we did that as a collective, the rest of the NFL, but we did. And it's given them a great defense. Quinyon Mitchell has been phenomenal on the backside as well for them as a rookie. Cooper DeJean, same thing. Darius Slay started to kind of come out of the doldrums of what has been a rough kind of last 2 seasons for him. And all of that said, and I just can't find myself betting against Kansas City. So for my early prediction, I have to go with them. They just understand how to win in the postseason. Andy Reid is a phenomenal coach. I believe in Andy more than I believe in Nick Sirianni. I believe in Patrick Mahomes more than I believe in Jalen Hurts. And I believe in the Kansas City defense as much as I believe in the Eagles defense. And I think that is why right now I'm going to go with the Chiefs. Like I said, subject to changing my mind after a little more actual research. But that is my current gut feeling.
I like it. There you go. All right. I got to step aside for a quick break. When we come back, we will continue our NFL conversation and get you caught up with the new coaching hires. And the Dallas Cowboys continue to do Dallas Cowboys things. My heart is hurting for Dallas Cowboys fans at this point. Because as much as Paul and I talk about the horrendous management or mismanagement in the fans of the franchises that we are, the Dallas Cowboys. But at the same time, I'm not surprised. I've said it from the beginning. You got to get a yes man. That's the only kind of head coach that's going to be there. But we'll get you all the coaching hires, as the New Orleans Saints job, yes, is the only job that is now open. So we'll be right back on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network.
Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ulei Agbayani, Paul Brecht, and Michael Lescaro talking some NFL. Before we continue that conversation, I want to make sure I remind you guys that we are going to be able to interview projected quarterback one for the University of Hawaii in Micah Alihado later this morning. So if you guys have any questions that you want us to ask Micah, be sure to text us at 808-888-KGU1. That's 808-888-5481, and you'll be able to hear our interview a little later in this week, likely Thursday morning at 8. So be sure you guys tune in on Thursday, and then text us if you have any questions, or if you're like Caesar, you can feel free to leave it in the YouTube chat as well with all of the comments. But we're talking about the NFL and now all the coaching carousel is just about to be filled, still waiting. Only opening left is the New Orleans Saints. We look back with the New England Patriots hiring Mike Vrabel, of course, Chicago getting Ben Johnson, the dream hire that I had and was pushing the entire time, even though rumors were going that he could potentially end up in Jacksonville or Las Vegas. Whew, luckily for the Bears, he is going there, and actually hired a couple of coordinator announcements that came out throughout the weekend. Thomas Brown, though, on the other hand, formerly with the LA Rams, he was the Bears interim coach and will now be, or he has been hired by the Patriots as I believe their tight ends coach. Former Saints head coach Dennis Allen, who was fired on November 4th, of this season, has been hired as the defensive coordinator for Chicago, which I'm excited about because he's a former head coach and has that experience. And if you are a first-time head coach and more of the offensive mind that Ben Johnson is, it makes the greatest sense for Chicago to hire someone else that has a lot of that experience and is more defensive minded. On the flip side, for the offensive coordinator position, the Bears have hired Broncos tight end coach Declan Doyle for OC, which don't know too much, but hey, Denver was surprisingly better than most people thought on the offensive side. So there you go. I'm going to be optimistic. Special teams coordinator Richard Hightower stays in place for Chicago. And the New York Jets, Paul gets his guy that he wanted for his team in Aaron Glenn. Woohoo! So everyone's excited in there. Las Vegas, I think, is a good hire. I know I didn't want Pete Carroll for Chicago, but I think for Las Vegas, Pete Carroll is at his young age of 73 years young, has been hired. I like how the notes, when I was reading, I think NFL.com, he said he's the youngest 73-year-old in history, basically, right? He's up there. He is still, like, when I saw 73, I'm like, Pete Carroll, 73 already?
You'd
My
never
goodness.
believe it from the way that he acts.
Yeah, the way he acts, the way that he's like always so energized. But I think it's perfect for Las Vegas. I think you and I were talking about it last week, Paul, where it's just with the just turmoil and no structure it feels like Las Vegas has. Pete Carroll can come in there, maybe coach for a few years, get things organized, back on track, and then by then they can maybe hire like someone else to come in for Las Vegas, because they're very much a franchise that I want to see succeed. I mean, we talk about it with the Chiefs. They can't enjoy seeing the gloriousness of the Chiefs right now, and Las Vegas being very close to home and here in Hawaii/Oakland, a lot of fans here. I want to see the Raiders become good again, finishing the season 4-13 this past year and just haven't been able to really figure themselves out again. And Tom Brady's over there, I know, hoping to put his mark and turn around a franchise as well. But I think Pete Carroll was the perfect hire for Las Vegas. Before I get to that, Paul, I know you had something to say about that. Just Jacksonville, Liam Cohen, this was kind of like the surprise hire, I think, for everyone, including former teams involved. And then the Dallas Cowboys, Brian Schottenheimer over there has been on the Cowboys staff for a couple of seasons, but it was just kind of, I said it before and I'll say it again, the Cowboys are always going to hire the ultimate yes man when it comes to having to be with Jerry Jones. And it's a guy who already knows how to operate in Dallas. And yeah, so, I mean, like I said, always going to root for Dallas because I feel like just like we talk about the Yankees and I know the Dodgers, some of the bigger franchises, like especially when they've been bad for so long, you kind of need them to start doing good just for the sake of like I don't want to say the sake of the league because we have other good teams, but it's just, it makes it more fun to have a legitimate franchise. I mean, we talked about it with Kansas City. It's like, even though they're really successful, you don't like hate them as much as say the Patriots, or if Dallas was the one winning like this. It's just, it adds to the parity in sports when you have like your big franchises, your really rich franchises be able to actually be competitive. And the Dallas Cowboys, I think they've been horrible for long enough, I guess. So I don't know. It'd be nice to see them be.
They haven't been horrible. They just haven't like won anything of significance. They'll be good in the regular season. But I mean
that's
for
fair.
our
The Jets have
station
been
too.
horrible.
For our station too,
I
it's
guess
good
Dallas,
for the Dallas
Cowboys status. They've been horrible.
Fair. No, yeah, you're right. For our station, we're always hoping for the best for the Dallas Cowboys. I got a chuckle when they made their hire. I joked to you guys and to all of my friends that they're hiring from the ghosts of Jets past. I don't know why you would do that from the era. And you know what? That's unfair of me, to be fair. Brian Schottenheimer, by the way, longtime NFL guy, is the son of Marty Schottenheimer, who is a very well-respected coach in the NFL for the longest time, it feels like. Like, there are ways that this can work out, right? It's familiarity before. You kind of mentioned it. Jerry Jones likes to go with a guy who he knows he's not going to have to fight with necessarily. And sometimes when that happens, you get success, and sometimes when that happens, it's a total unmitigated disaster. We'll see what it ends up being. Hopefully for Cowboys fans, at the very least, it's entertaining one way or another. You bring up Pete Carroll. I mean, what a hiring for the Raiders. I am in love with that hiring for them for a couple of reasons. You mentioned it, right, where they've been pretty putrid recently, and honestly, since the Gruden firing, they've just been off the path, off the beaten path. They haven't been able to find their way back to the road, and this is a hiring that brings you back to the road. This is a hiring that sets a baseline, that gives you a legitimate floor in a division where if you don't have a floor, you have three teams who will beat the brakes off of you week in and week out. And they kind of did what everybody else in their division did this entire time, right? Where you look at the head coaching vacancy and you're like, you know what? What if we got a guy who has experience already? We got a guy who we know the floor is going to be there. We're going to play great defense. We're going to run the ball, or we're going to have an identity. They did that in Denver. What's to say that the Raiders can't do the exact same thing that Denver did this year and win 10 games and sneak into a wild card spot with a good enough rookie quarterback, a solid running game, and then a great defense, right? There's nothing to say that they can't do that. They can't copy what the Chargers did, and they obviously don't have a Justin Herbert, but where you take a good defense, you take the running game and all of those things, right? You look at the same blueprint and you follow it. I really like the hire of Pete Carroll there. Elsewhere, Aaron Glenn, everybody knows that was my number one choice after Vrabel went off the board. And honestly, he probably should have been my number one choice anyway. Former New York Jet, a guy who understands what the fan feels, what the players feel, what the people in the organization feel. It's a little bit different, right? It's something you've seen start to have a little more success in the NFL recently. Just thinking off the top of my head, D'Amico Ryans in Houston, former player for them, comes back, hired, and I mean, what a home run that's been for them. You look up in New England, and they're kind of trying to do that right now in a second try, right? They had Gerard Mayo at first, and now they're going with Mike Vrabel, who comes from a even more successful time, who comes from an even more successful background, and you really like that. Former players starting to get jobs in places where they played. There's something about that it just means a little bit extra. And then, of course, Ben Johnson in Chicago. Chicago lucks out a little bit where I think Johnson would have at least considered Jacksonville a lot more should they have fired Balky, I don't know, when they should have.
Thank you for not.
And instead, he goes to Chicago where he has a young quarterback who I think he's been thinking about working with for a while now. He's got a pretty good baseline to work with outside of the quarterback room in terms of skill position players. They got to build up the offensive line, obviously. The defense has some talent there. You got to make sure that hire is correct in Dennis Allen. But you really liked the things and where your direction's going on that side. In all, like, the head coaching hirings pretty much everywhere have felt pretty good. And you have the Saints, who are just kind of stuck behind right now, and you almost feel bad for them, where it's the icy cold hand from Mike McCarthy on the shoulder of Mickey Loomis saying, "How's it going, buddy?" Which honestly wouldn't be that bad of a hiring for the Saints to figure things out. I think Derek Carr, you can get a little bit of something out of him. There's no reason to say that he can't be kind of like your Walmart brand Dak, right? And start to find some success in a division that, I mean, the reason Michael and I picked two different winners in there was because we thought it was pretty open, right? Outside of the Bucks, who I got to give them their credit. They've won, I think, 3 or 4 years in a row now. It hasn't been running away. It's not like the Bills in the AFC East. So even that would be a fine hiring. Curious where the Saints go. But outside of Dallas, I'm not really like, there's nobody that I look at and I'm like, oh, why the hell would you do that?
Exactly. I think every franchise did what they needed to do for their right franchise, because I think that Vegas Raiders job was kind of the one where, like, well, I wonder who they're going to hire, but they hired Pete Carroll.
Well, just going back to the Saints, real quick, I want to say, before it goes to the Dallas thing, with the Saints, nobody wants that job because that job is, they need a tank, and that's the truth, right? The Bucks are set with Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans, and they're gonna run that back. The Falcons are up and coming. They have Michael Penix waiting the wings, and as well as the Panthers are much better now with Bryce Young after he got some time to sit. But going to Brian Schottenheimer, I'm letting everybody know right now to not knock this hire. As Paul mentioned, he is from the ghost of Jets past, right? Well, when Eric Mangini got fired, he wasn't in the running for the head coaching job. Of course, it went to Rex Ryan.
I liked Mangini, I will say.
But he chose to stay on board as offensive coordinator. So that shows you some loyalty. You know, that's something you don't see in some positions there. And when he was offensive coordinator, we did see a rookie, Mark Sanchez, lead his team to the AFC Championship, something that Paul remembers very vividly. After he was with the Jets, he was with the St. Louis Rams in Sam Bradford's first year.
Where he went?
Sam Bradford's first year after an ACL tear. They go 7-8-1. They were on the verge of the playoffs. We just happened to run into Coach Harbaugh and the 49ers and Colin Kaepernick making that stretch run. After that, I think he was with Georgia for a bit. But then in 2018, he was hired by the Seattle Seahawks. And in his first year, Russell Wilson had a career best passer rating, and they had the best rushing offense in the league. Now in 2021, he got let go because of some difference of opinion, of creativity, whatnot. It's because DK Metcalf was being a bit of a diva. But lately, he's just been with the Dallas Cowboys. He was serving under Dan Quinn, who we know Dan Quinn is a solid coach. And after Kellen Moore left, he became the OC, but it was still Mike McCarthy calling the plays. Now, we talk about Jerry Jones being we wants a yes man, but from what I'm told and what I've read, Dak Prescott was a big force in this because, and I think if you in the NFL, you want to get that head coach and quarterback relationship right. And if they're not going to look to move on from Dak, you want to get a guy that Dak wants. You want to have that collaborative relationship from the head coach to the player. And that's why I think Josh Allen will never get past the Chiefs, because of Sean McDermott is not the offensive-minded guy. So don't knock this hiring. I know it's not the flashy one, but maybe with Jerry Jones, maybe him not being flashy is actually what's best for once.
I like it. Positive.
I know. I was like, I will agree to disagree, but I like it. I know exactly where you're coming from, Michael, and that does make a lot of sense. I guess for me, it's like someone, because you said the familiarity with Dak Prescott, and also more importantly for Jerry Jones, I feel like it's just, you're hiring someone that's familiar and you haven't had the success that you've been wanting to have. So you're just going to kind of keep things like status quo. But I know we also disagree on Dak Prescott, as I am not a fan and Michael is more of a fan. I think it was like you like Dak Prescott and then you don't like Justin Herbert, right? And I like Justin Herbert. I think that was kind of our debate with quarterback.
I just think Justin Herbert's overrated.
Yeah, see.
So see, that's why he really liked my.
I know that was, yeah. I was like, I know Michael and I disagreed heavily on like a couple of quarterbacks. And I'm like, I think that was the one. I was like Dak Prescott. I'm like, because then that brings me to, you bring up the Jets and the Jets making the good move, right? But like the Jets don't have like their quarterback. When you look at these other teams,
I don't know.
They
Everything
might
keeps coming out,
but
Rodgers
it's like
might be back again.
The Patriots have their quarterback, the Bears have their quarterback, the Jaguars have their quarterback. And, it's like, okay, there's another one with Trevor Lawrence. But for the most part, they have their quarterback. And that's how I feel about with Dallas. Like, do do they have their quarterback in Dak Prescott?
Well-
But like when you get to like the Raiders and then even the Jets, like it's home run higher in terms of coaching. But now you need kind of the quarterback situation figured out for the Jets, because if there's any formula that we've seen work out so far for successful teams, it's having a solid quarterback and then on top of having a good head coach, right? You haven't seen it work out. And I'm not saying they have to be generational like Patrick Mahomes, but you at least have to have like someone that's a bit more mobile and stuff than Aaron Rodgers.
So I'll be honest,
a bit better.
I don't know if I agree with that part of it necessarily, because I look at Jared Goff this year with Detroit, and you're not necessarily thinking of him as some speed demon. And when Rodgers got healthy, you look at his stats, he actually ended up being fine. Rodgers' issue is that he can't shut his mouth when he's off the field. If he's off the field and he just stops talking, things become so much better, because on the field, it's fine, because I expect Aaron Glenn to get the defense right. And this is the important part where I agree with you wholeheartedly. The quarterback position is so important, and that's what you see separate people from one level to the next. It's the reason why I'm picking the Chiefs over the Eagles in the Super Bowl, right? I went down the list. I believe more in the head coach, I believe more in the quarterback, and I believe more in the defense. If you can get 2 out of the 3 of those, you can at least become a successful franchise. And then Aaron Rodgers is not going to be around forever. You need to find the correct quarterback. So I agree with you. I think Rodgers would be fine if they brought him back. I also think there's plenty more question marks if you do bring him back. So I'm curious where they go.
You bet he
with
couldn't bring
that.
Sam Darnold back. Sam Darnold 2.0.
Oh,
That would be like Sam Darnold going back to the Jets. It won't happen, obviously, but like that would be kind of like
Why
the
would
full
you do
circle
that to me?
moment. Because I
Why
just
would you
think
do
about
that?
like, because again, he's like maybe the second tier in terms of quarterbacks that we have in the NFL right
Actually,
now. But
I'll
that's
ask
all
you
you
guys
need
this.
for like to be really successful.
Because you bring up the Raiders as well, and I know we gotta go break. Shoot. I'll ask you this: what if Sam Darnold went to the Raiders? Right? Everybody's talking about like, oh, where's he gonna go? Where's he gonna go? What's to say he wouldn't be fun in Las Vegas? You know, they're going to have a little more run-oriented offense. Pete Carroll, he's got a lot out of Russell Wilson if they have a good defense.
I would love that for Las Vegas.
You know, Vegas, they get a younger quarterback. Maybe they don't fall in love with one of the guys this year. I'm just putting it on the table. That's all I'm going to say.
They want Shador. Let's just be
Well,
honest.
yeah, probably.
And I wasn't hating on Trevor Lawrence. I'm just saying, don't be surprised if he's on the Rams in a couple years.
Oh, that's
He's
fine. A couple
praying
years.
over here.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the quarterback situation shapes out for all of the teams. And yeah, Shador Sanders. But I don't know, maybe you know what? If Sam Darnold somehow found his way back to, like, I would be extremely happy.
I would
yeah,
cry
like
tear. I
you
can't
thought
actually
you thought you were
express to
happy with the Aaron Glenn hire, and then it's
express
like,
to you if it was Sam Darnold, Aaron Glenn, and Darren Moogie, I'm over the moon. I'm already over the moon. I love Sam Darnold. I will forever be a Darnold apologist.
I mean, speaking of, that would be funny with the NFC North teams. Like, sorry, not sorry to Detroit Lions fans that they get like poach the coaches, but that's what happens when you're successful. Hey, we're gonna come on over
I feel
here.
bad. Their fans are struggling with that. They
Oh,
can't.
well.
They can't handle it.
Oh, well, it's a new season for the NFC North now. So we go back to cheering against all of the other teams. No more rooting for the Detroit Lions anymore because we are resetting. And like I said in the first hour, like, do I expect the Bears to have the same type of turnaround as the Washington Commanders in a season? You know it, and I will stick to that because they prove that it is possible as long as you have enough like talent, obviously on the field, but definitely you need all the coaches that are involved also. All right, we got to definitely step aside for a break. We will be right back on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network.
Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
I don't know. I just want to keep dancing though when we have this song on. It just makes you want to move and groove. Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network. Ku'ulei Agbayani, Paul Brecht, and Michael Lescaro in studio and streaming live on our YouTube channel. This is pretty cool. Like it hasn't really blipped at all, which is very nice, and nice having fast internet. And like Paul and I kind of joked earlier, of course there was some apprehension on moving, as there always is, because it's just change, right? And we didn't really understand how it would kind of shake up in here. And I know we still have to decorate the studio a little bit more that we talked about. We have one side of these sound panels up, but you can't really see it you can maybe see part of it in Paul's video. But other than that, like behind us, very much plain with the plain white walls with none of our memorabilia and flags up that we used to have. But that will slowly start to change as the weeks go on, that you guys will get to see week by week as there's more things added to our studio. So we're really excited. Be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, not only for the live stream, but also our Michael Lescaro here putting up some really awesome highlight videos from men's volleyball that you guys seem to like. I think I told you guys, right? Like I had to meet with an attorney about something with our building, and he was like, I thought your name sounded familiar, and like, oh, I love, like the men's volleyball stuff you guys put up. But like, we're huge men's volleyball fans, and watching and listening to you guys on YouTube. I'm like, wow, awesome. And so go be sure to like and subscribe. And as we mentioned, he put out some highlights from this Saturday's Beeman's Bigger Bash, in which the women's basketball team beat UC Irivine. There's also a ton of our high school basketball highlights that have been there for the broadcast that we have done. So there's a lot of stuff. So be sure you guys go check it out and like and subscribe for our hardworking guy over here with his videos and our Michael Lescaro. All right. I feel like we've been avoiding this subject for a while, for like the entire show. Obviously, it's the last thing we're talking about because it's just painful at this point. We were talking about the good things of the Rainbow Wahine basketball team coming out on top over UC Irvine.
I don't know what you're referring
We
to.
were having a fantastic Monday, and now
we have to talk about.
I don't know what are you referring to.
We have to talk.
I thought the Rainbow Wahine were the only ones who played this weekend. I don't actually have any recollection of any men's basketball team. I thought this was a bye week for them, right? Both Thursday and Saturday.
Men's volleyball.
Oh, shoot.
Which, by the way, speaking of UC Irvine, BYU, who was undefeated up until they ran up against Tyler Heno.
First place vote.
Yeah, I know. What the heck was that? But they ran up against Heno and that UC Irvine squad, and they actually Irvine beat BYU in 5 sets, and then the next day they swept Irvine BYU in the next game. So they kind of had to bring them back to normal, because I know BYU was kind of running on this high, like they beat Ball State and everything, like Ohio State, all that stuff. So Hawaii goes in, has to face them this Friday and Saturday, which we will get to your previews throughout the week. But I believe it's only available to watch on BYU TV. So.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah, BYU TV /BYUTV.org. I want to say it's free though. I was trying to do the research, but of course you gotta put in your email and get spammed with a bunch of the BYU stuff.
Some BYU alumni to get me on their login.
So BYU TV for the men's volleyball game. We'll try to see if there is any chance that it might also be on ESPN Plus. But for now, that's what I saw with it. But all right, guys, we're trying to avoid it all.
Right, fine. We'll talk about the fact that they played one game.
Fine.
Not two.
Well, okay.
I have a fun story to share with you guys off air. Remind me post show.
Sorry, I wanted to double check the men's volleyball thing on the Hawaii Athletics men's volleyball schedule. And yeah, that also says the only TV is BYU TV. So again, when I checked, free to sign up. There's no fee or whatever, like how most streaming platforms have, but you just got to log or register and stuff, and probably get set to be spammed with stuff when you put in your email. So
you don't have a spam email that's for the spam. Like I have my sports spam email. Like I have that so that my work email and then my personal email and then my personal work email, because for whatever reason. I have too many emails. So those don't get too clogged up. That's a pro tip for each of you, because, I mean, it costs nothing to make an email account, it feels like nowadays.
Yeah, so BYU TV for our men's volleyball fans this Friday and Saturday as they are on the road. But we will, again, get to your previews in that. All right, so
you know who's also on the road this week? Not men's basketball.
not men's basketball.
As we get back to our men's basketball conversation, good one, Michael Liscaro.
try,
All right,
you
the
attempted.
men's basketball team, even though the final score, the men's team did cut it pretty close throughout the game, but falling to UC Irvine 71-55. UC Irvine coming off of that surprising loss to Riverside in overtime, and Hawaii coming off of that loss on Thursday to UC Davis, a game that very much was winnable down the stretch, and a team that they could win against, even though they were on the road. But I think it was just how the UC Irvine game played out is the part that got really frustrating for a lot of people and fans watching. I mean, Irvine jumped out to what was the biggest, like 11-0 just to start off the game. That was not a good look, and it just felt like Hawaii just continuously, like every time they were starting to, almost like that CSUN game, it's like, all right, we're close. And just kidding, we want to go on a scoring drought now. So it was very unfortunate. Leading the scoring, though, Akira Jacobs with 12 points, Tanner Christensen putting up 7. You had Marcus Green with 8, and I think it's just kind of like the style of... Whoa.
I saw that too.
Okay.
I
Wait, it says we're not on air now, though.
Oh, well, I don't know.
All right. Hopefully we are.
I was going to
Sorry
say.
for everyone watching on YouTube, and hopefully if you guys can still hear us on the radio, we just had like a glitch in like our clock in studio that kind of went off and on, and then now the on-air thing is not on, so that's why I'm kind of like got distracted by that. But
We haven't had anybody come running in yet, so.
well,
for
they
now.
don't have the alarms that work anymore.
Yeah,
for
well,
now. So.
but I trust that we have somebody who's monitoring that at all times. Probably. I hope.
Your guess is as good as mine at this point.
Anyway.
But anyway, look at us trying to keep avoiding that.
The on-air monitor's trying to help us avoid it.
No, but Hawaii shooting .311 from the field, or 31% from the field. Irvine 44%. Irvine shooting 33% from 3, and Hawaii just under 28%. And it was, it's almost like you have no words at this point. I see someone chiming in on the YouTube saying, "Cannot get out of here." But at the same time, I think that's something that Paul and I always say, like, he's not out there. And I get how people are going to they feel the way they feel about Coach Eran Ganot. But at the same time, when you watch the game play out, like, he's not out there missing baskets and turning over the ball. Like, that's the part that gets frustrating, because sometimes it feels like Hawaii comes to play. And then other times I'm like, why are we making these silly mistakes over and over again? You guys know I'm very adamant about these unforced turnovers. A lot of them, and we want to see some other players get in there, right? Like Hawaii, 15 turnovers to also UC Irvine, though, 14 turnovers. But it's almost like anytime Hawaii is turning over the ball more than 10 times, like, it feels like it already amounts in a loss. And you can't turn the ball over against a team that can score like UC Irvine.
Yeah, it's frustrating because it is the same things that happen to be the losses over and over again. The UC Davis loss, this is why dropping that game sucked so much, right? Especially seeing the opportunity late to tie it with two of your better players getting looks inside the paint. It sucks. That being said, these are two of the better defensive teams in the entire Big West. They consistently force a lot of turnovers, and in general, that's something that you have to be prepared for. That being said, I would love to see more Aaron Hunkenklater in games like that, where we know that there is a higher turnover percentage, right, forced by the opponent, because we've seen, I mean, the proof is in the pudding now. If you go look at the statistics, you look at the time out there, when it comes down to it, nobody turns the ball over less than Aaron Hunkenklater when it comes to having the ball in their hands more. And that's not a knock against Cody Williams. That's not a knock against Marcus Green. That's not a knock against Tom Beatty. All of them talented in their own ways. But Aaron Hunkenklater is a true point guard. We got to have him out there on the floor for those moments like that. We saw him play well in the second half. His free throws cut it to 4, and that was the closest that UH got in the second half. And part of that is because you see out there as he's playing, they play a little bit quicker. The ball moves just a tick faster. They get into transition a little bit more. And then you all of a sudden don't have that defense set up of the opponent where you see, and I just mentioned it, how good these teams are in the Big West defensively. It's what Hawaii hangs their hat on as well. And why do you think that teams want to get out in transition, push against Hawaii, and not allow their defense to set up? It's because the defense is so good, and we saw good opportunities come from transition looks. You see good opportunities come when Aaron Hunkenclater is out on the floor. You see him also when Akira Jacobs is out on the floor. We've seen him start to grow more and more offensively. You need to see his time continue to tick up, and we have over the last few games. I would like to see it even more. This loss was really, really frustrating just for the matter of going 0-2 on road trips can't happen, especially when it's already happened once this year. I understand it wasn't 2 Big West games. I understand it was Grand Canyon and then a Big West game, but you have to come back home with a victory, especially. And realistically, on this road trip, you needed one to keep on competing towards the top. They put themselves in a tough spot coming back home. It's not, as we saw last year, it's not one that puts the nail in the coffin by any stretch of the imagination. But it does make things a lot more difficult. You knew that this was going to be a tough one. And I think the most frustrating part about this game for me, their best player didn't even play great. Didn't have to play great to beat Hawaii, right? I don't know how to say Bent's last name, and that's bad on me as a fellow German. But, it's he didn't have to do anything. He had the quietest 8 points and 8 rebounds in maybe human history. Didn't need to assert himself whatsoever. Tanner Christensen, who was fantastic, by the way, through the first half of the year about staying out of foul trouble, has reverted back to his form from last year when it comes to those foul woes. That has to change in the second half of this Big West season if Hawaii wants to make a run. And they have the talent to do so. They have the coaching to do so. They have the culture to do so. But it's on the players to make the actual plays at the end of the day, to stay disciplined, to take care of the basketball, to make open threes. I'm so sick of these poor shooting performances.
My gosh.
Make open threes, right? That's what other teams do. We see other teams make contested step back, bad shot threes. Hawaii has to make the open ones. I understand the frustration towards the coaching staff. I understand, and I just vented a little bit about it as well, right? You need to make the appropriate players have to be out on the floor at times. But at the end of the day, players got to make plays. Guys got to make shots. Players got to take care of the basketball. And that just didn't happen on this road trip. That's why you saw them go 0-2.
Paul, you mentioned earlier, or just a few seconds ago, about how in the first half, Tanner Christensen was really good, and it was more particularly with the foul trouble. But I think I said it early on in the season, Tanner Christensen's production at the start, that wasn't sustainable. They're gonna have to figure something else out, because he's kind of the guy that you not necessarily make the focal point of your offense, but he's a great complementary piece. And we see Akira Jacobs come up big with 12 points and also led the team in assists with 3. I mean, even though 3 is not a big number, he still is able to be a playmaker and get it to the open man. And when you play a good defensive team like UC Irivine, you need athletes, you need talent out there. And going to the turnovers, I know we have someone in our YouTube chat saying that there's more turnovers than more Walmart employees. But again, we gotta get with the times, right? Paul, we mentioned the 10-0 run, and we don't go on a 10-0 run if Marcus Green, and I think it was Harry that made a 3. We need to get better with our 3-point shots. We need to maybe run some. I mean, not saying that we can't run an old school offense, but let's run some elevator plays. Let's run some zipper plays. You see Rip Hamilton and Reggie Miller back in the day running around. I think that's what we need to do. But if the ball's gonna stagnate, if you do want to post up, then maybe let's get a pick and roll in there into a post up if the first read's not there. And we're just moving too slow. It's actually impressive that we were able to cut it to a 4-point game. Down 11-0. I don't know if there was a chance to make it a game, but we just don't have the juice, and our minutes, we're investing minutes into players that are not getting it done. That's plain and simple.
Yeah, and that's kind of what Paul was saying. And just looking now at the Big West Conference standings, Hawaii now 7th in the Big West Conference standings, so teetering at that cutoff line for the postseason tournament. That's something important and substantial to keep in mind when you're looking at postseason play, because we've said it all the time. It seems like automatic that fortunately both obviously on the women's side, but on the men's side, they at the very least do well enough to punch their ticket into the Big West Conference tournament. But now at 7th out of 8 teams, you really need to start stacking up these wins and try to figure something out. Like you guys saying, I said, and I echo it completely with just being able to put certain players on the court that will at least limit mistakes and be able. It's funny because you bring up assists and stuff, and I'm like, honestly, Aaron Hungenclader could probably have more assists if the people that he passed it to finishes the basketball.
Or the
Let's
stats
just
person counts it.
And the stat person counting those assists. But like he just always takes care of the basketball. And then what you guys said about threes, it's like we haven't gotten to that point where most recently I can remember, and I'm sure you guys remember too, like Jack Purchase and Eddie Stansberry, where it felt like every time you kicked it out to one of those guys, they were going to be able to make an open three. Obviously, like, not up against the clock or anything. And that's where it's just been unfortunate for Hawaii. It doesn't feel like, at least consistently, right? Like in one game, like we saw against HPU, Cody was like on fire from long distance. After that, it's like not so much, right? We always think Akira Jacobs is gonna be there, and some like one game he is, and like for 3-4 games he's not. So there's no consistency. The only consistency there is turning over the basketball, which is why fans get so frustrated. But this week, back at home, hosting UC San Diego, another really good team in the Big West. They are currently 2nd in the Big West standings to UC Irivine. So got to take care of business at home this Thursday, and then Saturday is against Cal State Fullerton. All right, we just about wrapping up. Want to remind you guys that we are going to be able to interview Micah Alihado a little later on this morning, not streaming on YouTube, but if you guys want to text in at 808-888-KGU1, that's 808-888-5481 within the next hour or so, and we can likely ask your questions for Micah Alihado, and you can hear that interview later this week, likely on Thursday at 8. But for now, we got to go. For Paul Brecht, Michael Escaro, I'm Ku'ule Agbayani. Bye!
KGU